Hi, folks. Chaplain Scott Savelle with another prophecy update. Today is Friday, May the 12th, 2023, and this program has been pre-recorded. Thank you for tuning in. Go ahead and hit the like, subscribe, and share button. Please be sure and share this update across all your social media platforms to help spread the word about these updates so that others can tune in as they become available. So, a lot going on in our world in the last few days. A lot of things. I wished I could bring you an entire list of all that is going on, but time unfortunately will not allow for that. But I do want to share a few items with you that indicate that we are, number one, living in the last days just prior to the return of Christ, and number two, the start of Daniel's 70th week, that last 7 years of human history prior to the return of Christ to this earth is certainly upon us. And of course, most of my viewers know that I believe in a pre-trib rapture. So if Daniel's 70th week is near, the rapture of the church is near still. So bottom line, make sure you know Jesus, make sure Jesus knows you, and make sure you're ready to see Jesus face to face at any moment, because he could very well return for his church, his bride, at any moment. All right, by way of a prophetic update, wars and rumors of wars. The Jerusalem Post is reporting over the last 36 hours, more than 800 rockets have been launched into Israel out of Gaza by terrorists there in Gaza. Most of those rockets have been intercepted, but a few of them have gotten through, and there has obviously been some damage to property there in Israel, and at least one Israeli has lost his life. And Palestinians are reporting that because of Israeli airstrikes that are, of course, in response to these rocket attacks, over 30 Palestinians have lost their lives. So we certainly want to pray for the folks in that part of the world. We want to ultimately pray for the peace of Jerusalem, because we know that there will be no real peace there in that part of the world, or anywhere else in the world for that matter, until Jesus returns and establishes his millennial kingdom and he reigns there from Jerusalem. So pray for the peace of Jerusalem, and pray for those people that are in Israel and in the Gaza Strip that are being affected by the skirmish that is going on between Gaza and Israel right now in our present time, this very moment. Rockets are being launched into Israel, and Israel is responding through airstrikes and other means. A couple of articles, one in Jerusalem Post, which I've already mentioned, but another one in Hearts, Operation Shield and Arrow enters its third day. So you can see this has been going on for several days now. And as if that wasn't enough, anti-Semitism is alive and well in the world today. And unfortunately, some of that anti-Semitism is coming right out of our American government. A Jerusalem Post article is reporting that Bernie Sanders helps Rashida Tlaib host Nakba event as rockets rain on Israel. Now, if you notice this in the news in the last few days, you would know that this U.S. Representative Tlaib had planned to host this event in the House, but the House Speaker, Kevin McCarthy, he canceled the event, and that was the right decision. But we see here that Bernie Sanders, who is a U.S. Senator, has now come alongside U.S. Representative Rashida Tlaib and helped her to host this event, which recognizes or actually is meant to condemn the reestablishment of the Jewish state back in 1948. Arabs refer to it as the catastrophe. That's what the word Nakba means. And so it is a form of anti-Semitism. And it is sad that it is coming not only out of the U.S., but from U.S. Elected officials, both on the Senate side and the House side. And the CEO of the Anti-Defamation League, according to the article, said in a statement, quote, "It is disgraceful that Senator Sanders allowed this event by Representative Rashida to be held in our nation's capital. Real conversations are needed around a path to peace, but not with groups and individuals who espouse anti-Semitism." We call on the Senate to condemn this event, unquote. So, wars and rumors of wars and anti-Semitism point or prophetic trends that point to the coming 7-year period known as Daniel's 70th week, and ultimately point to the fact that all prophecy will be fulfilled, and one of these days Jesus will return to this earth. Now, the Bible predicts in the last days that there will be a certain alignment of nations, and that there will also be this push for peace in the Middle East. And in recent years, we've seen the US, Europe, Russia, China, and others try to uh, bring about some measure of peace there in the Middle East. But this article appeared this past week, which I found interesting. Middle East pursues peace on its own terms. And this article appeared on May the 10th on Bloomberg. But the article indicates that Saudi Arabia's Mohammed bin Salman used his appointment as defense minister in 2015 to intervene in Yemen's war. Now, as prime minister, the crown prince has reinvented himself in the unlikely role of regional peacemaker. Waning U.S. influence has left a vacuum in the Middle East that the 37-year-old leader seems determined to fill. The result has been a surprising flurry of diplomacy. After months of high-level efforts, the Arab League agreed Sunday to readmit Syria, ending President Bashar al-Assad's decade of isolation in defiance of U.S. objectives. So I sent out a prophetic trends update last night, I believe it was, about this uh, Arab League decision to reinstate President Bashar al-Assad and Syria into the Arab League, which I found interesting as we consider the alignment of nations. And this particular meeting, according to the article I shared last night, or Wednesday night, actually, was when I shared that article that indicated that the nations of Ezekiel 38 and 39 continue to come together, just like the Bible predicted. And there's the prophecy in Isaiah 17 that speaks of the destruction of Damascus. And so we see Syria coming back into focus here. And so, again, everything seems to indicate that things are trending towards ultimate fulfillment at some future time. And another article, which appeared in Israel Hayom on April the 27th, so a little over 2 weeks ago, with U.S. arms moving away, Israel must rethink its dependency on Washington. And so the writer of this article is recognizing that things in the U.S., especially with our government, are changing. And the author of this article writes, the U.S. decision to shift arms from its reserve depots in Israel to Ukraine was made during the term of the previous Israeli government. It has nothing to do with the latest tensions between Jerusalem and Washington. What is concerning is that the administration has yet to indicate when it will replenish the stockpile of munitions in Israel. In the wake of the shifting priorities across the pond and the dissatisfaction with the current policies of the Israeli government, it is not inconceivable that this state of limbo could last for a while. So our current administration seems in no hurry to replenish the stockpiles that it had there in Israel. And so this writer is recognizing that that may be indicating a shift within the United States away from Israel. And we know that ultimately uh, the entire world will abandon the little nation state of Israel. And when the Ezekiel 38-39 war takes place, that no one will come to Israel's aid. And so the Bible says that God will intervene on Israel's behalf. So again, the current news articles indicate that things are trending towards ultimate fulfillment. And then one other article I wanted to bring to your attention deals with the arrangements for the temple. And we know that the Bible prophesies a third Jewish temple on the Temple Mount at some future time. We don't know when this will happen. We just know that it will be in full operation by the midpoint of the tribulation period that is coming upon this earth. But this appeared over on CBN on March the 17th. The title of the article, Prophetic Anticipation Builds, Unblemished Red Heifers for Temple Ceremony Soon Come of Age. And so the article says last September, 5 red heifers arrived in Israel amid great fanfare because some Jews and Gentiles believe red heifers are a key element leading to the building of the third Jewish temple. And it goes on to describe what the red heifers are, what the red heifer ceremony entails. But this paragraph from the article, these red heifers are now between 1.5 and 2 years old. To replicate the ceremony mentioned in the Bible, they need to be at least 3 years old. And within that time span, they cannot have a blemish or anything that would disqualify them from the ceremony, even one white or black hair. So I believe that I read the other day that a second red heifer from that group of 5 has now been disqualified. So that leaves 3. And we're coming up on that time span when these red heifers will be old enough for the ceremony. So it will be really interesting later this year to see, number one, if at least one of these red heifers is still qualified for the ceremony, and number two, what happens in that regard. So just a few articles that I wanted to bring to your attention among the many, many, many articles that are out there and the events that are transpiring in our world today that I like to call prophetic trends and that are all converging. They're picking up speed, it seems, and they all seem to be pointing to the same thing. Number one, the Bible's true. The Bible bats 1,000 when it comes to Bible prophecy. But number two, Daniel's 70th week is coming. It is coming quickly. And before that time begins, the Bible tells us of another great event that is going to occur that I believe is going to just put the world right into more chaos than it's already in, and that is the rapture of the church. Jesus said he would return for his bride at some future time, and I believe that return will be prior to the 70th week of Daniel, because the 70th week of Daniel deals specifically with the Jewish people and not the church itself. And Jesus said, I'm going to prepare a place for you. And if I go to prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you to myself, that where I am, there you may be also. That's in John chapter 14 and the first few verses there. And we know that Jesus is right now in heaven. He is at the Father's house. He is preparing a place for us. And so if we're going to be where he is, he's got to come get back and get us and take us to be with him. And the Bible calls that great event over in 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, what I like to call the great snatch, because the word harpazo means to snatch away with force, and that's the word that is translated in the Latin Vulgate that we get our English word rapture from. So Jesus is coming back for us at some future time prior to the start of Daniel's 70th week. But even if you don't agree with me in all of that, that really doesn't matter to me. What really matters to me is that you believe that Jesus died and rose again. So make sure your faith is in Jesus, who he is, and what he has accomplished for us through his death, burial, and resurrection, that you have placed your faith in that, so that when Jesus does return, you are ready to see him face to face. All right, that's all I have for you this week. God bless you and your family. Have a great weekend. And remember to keep your eyes on Jesus and keep looking up. God bless.